Sometimes you just kick yourself and go, well, we should have been talking about this for years. But when we got to know you, that we have the opportunity now to talk about it. So maybe give us a little bit of your story, how you ended up both founding a ministry for folks who are struggling with infertility, and then founding a ministry to help people move into the foster care and adoption world.
Yes, well, it's really, how God uses our struggles to bring about good in the world. So, my husband and I had graduated from the John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and Family, and we're hoping to have a very large family. And just found after several years, we were just not getting pregnant at all. It was very discouraging, feeling very isolated in our struggle. And I was very blessed to run into an old friend from grad school, Ann Koshoot, and she and I both talked about our mutual just struggles with infertility, and how just such a lack of support in the church, and nobody was really talking about it. And so we decided it was sort of like God called us to this. We were not trying to set out to start a ministry. Somebody asked us to write an academic article about the topic. And in the end of that, we ended up feeling like God is calling us to start this ministry. So we started Springs in the Desert. And that's been just such a gift and so amazing. But as my husband and I continued in our struggle, and really just praying about and looking for the fruitfulness that God was calling us to, as we say, we started becoming open. Well, we were open to adopting, and just looking at adoption, it just felt, it was just the expense of it. And it seemed very overwhelming to me. We looked at some agencies and the doors were just shutting. And I said, why don't we look into fostering? I'd heard about foster to adopt, where you can actually sign up to foster with the expectation, the hope, the desire to adopt. And so they kind of match you with children that are possibly going to be able to be adopted. Not always, that's not always going to happen. But so we started pursuing that avenue, and just were blown away at the need, just absolutely blown away. There's over 400,000 children in foster care, and we had no idea, just no idea. And here, I had been working I worked for a pro-life organization. My husband's, always been very committed to helping in the pro-life arena. And we were just so surprised, why haven't we heard anything about this, in the Catholic Church? We really hadn't heard much. The Catholic charities in our areas weren't doing adoptions anymore. And, we just were like, okay, like why are we not hearing anything about this? So anyway, we started on our journey. We ended up fostering, and we're very blessed to adopt our little son, Anthony. And then soon after, we were able to adopt 2 twin girls who were just about to enter the foster care system. And we were able to adopt them just before that. And then when the triplets, because they were only 5 months apart, so suddenly we had 3 babies. When they were 4 years old, we were able to foster our little John Paul, and we did not know again if that would end up, us adopting, but and we continued just praying for his birth mama. This situation, we were really able to connect very much with his birth mother, and support her in her journey, and pray for her and encourage her, and tell her we were rooting for her to get better so she could get her son back. But in the end, she was unable to do that, and we were very grateful to be able to adopt him.
Well, congratulations, first of all, on all of that. What a wonderful, wonderful story. And I have to say, it's a little disheartening to hear that Catholic couples are struggling because the church doesn't have ministries, doesn't talk about infertility. Sheepishness about the whole area of fertility among Catholics. How many are contracepting? How many are not? Or do people accept the teaching on contraception? But it's awful to think that such a large percentage of people are suffering this, and the church is so reticent.
Yes, it's been, I think it's been it's a private struggle for so many, and
Oh, yeah.
people don't often know how to address it. And so this is really a ministry that had to come. It had to be born from the suffering of those who know the struggle. It's not really sort of a ministry that you can just tap on, add on to like a marriage ministry, like, okay, we're going to do the infertility ministry as well. If you haven't really understood the struggle from within,
Yeah.
you really don't know what people need, what they need to hear. And so we've developed so many beautiful resources. If you go over to springsinthedesert.org, we have a clergy toolkit to help pastors even be able to navigate this very complex struggle and be able to help couples really in that. We have a beautiful podcast and just so many resources for couples that will really help them to strengthen their marriages, strengthen their relationship with God, and really find others who are struggling as well, to have a sort of community support. But we have retreats and all sorts of things. We're doing things at the diocesan levels. Parishes can invite us in, dioceses invite us in to do retreats and things like that. So we have a lot of great resources.
Well, I want to give out the number so that people can call if they want to ask questions about fostering children, about how to be involved in the foster system, even if you are not intending to foster, why you should do that, or at least consider it as a Christian person. If you'd like to call, talk with Dr. Kimberly Henkel, 888-318-7884, 888-318-7884. Now, Dr. Henkel, one of the things that I learned from you is that somebody says they're struggling with infertility, it's not actually as helpful as you might think to say, oh, with a whole ministry around that. So tell me a little bit about how you broach that topic with people and why it might not be the most helpful thing to say to a couple struggling with infertility. Oh, just adopt or just get involved in foster care.
Sure. Yeah, we see so many couples who they don't recognize that they are this need to grieve their infertility. And so, there's a real need that if you just jump right into something else and you haven't really grieved you need to grieve the infertility, but also really be educated about fostering and adopting, that it's a different path and it's something that God calls you to, and it's going to look different. And if you go into it thinking, this is just going to be sort of like, it's going to be the same, it's just going to feel the same, then there's going to be that temptation. Like, I don't want to acknowledge the birth families. I don't want to talk about them. I don't even want to tell my kids they were adopted. Yeah. Like, this is kind of the big secret, because I'll tell you, when I first held my son in my arms as a baby, I felt completely connected to this child, and I wanted to be the only mother. I did not ever want to talk to him about the fact that there was another mother. It was really hard, and luckily I had really fantastic classes that really prepared me for that. And they said, you want to start talking to your child about their adoption from the very earliest moments of their lives. And that's really for you, right? It's for you so that you get comfortable talking about it. But it's also for them that they never have to remember the conversation of finding out that they were adopted, like this big surprise. No child should ever have to go through that. But I wanted to just make a quick clarification here. So I didn't actually go into and explain the ministry of Springs of Love. So Springs of Love is really for all Catholics. It's not just those struggling with infertility, but it's really for all Catholics to really discern and ask God, is he calling our family to foster or adopt? There are so many wonderful families that do have children already, but maybe they feel like their family is not complete. Or maybe they still feel, like they want to add more children to their family, and or they feel really moved by the plight of children in foster care, and that there's such a need for loving homes, for loving families to teach these children about the love of God so they can heal? Like, can our homes be places of healing for these children? Maybe it's a temporary situation where the child will only be with us for a short period of time while their birth parents are able to really work on getting their lives in order so that they can raise their children, which is a beautiful thing. And maybe we can give these children a glimpse of another life, another way of living. And I just want to share a little story. This was just, one of those random God experiences, right? Where I was on the phone with a customer service agent one time for a phone company. And I said something about, I have a little son that we just got through foster care. We're fostering this little boy. And the man on the phone said, I was actually in foster care for 2 years as a teenager. And he said, my mother had always struggled. And at one point, my sister and I were taken and put in a foster home for 2 years. And let me tell you, that experience, he said, we ended up going back to our mother and lived kind of a chaotic existence for the rest of, his teenage years. But he said, that experience of living with that foster family for 2 years gave me an entirely new trajectory, a new vision of what my life could be. And now I have a beautiful life. I've been able to get married. I have children. I have a wonderful job and a career. And it's because of this vision that I was able to get from this foster family, that 2 years. And so many times we think of foster care, we think, it's a waste if we don't get to adopt the children. Or, there's just, it's such a tragedy if the children go back. But, we want to say, like, love is never wasted. And, the time that these children can spend in a loving Catholic home can change their lives forever. This can have eternal consequences. And I feel like we as Catholics need to really see these children as God's children. These are the modern day orphans that God commands us to take care of. And we cannot turn away. Like, I think there's so many beautiful pro-life people that are looking for practical ways to help in the pro-life community. And I think this is one of the most important issues and areas where pro-lifers can really get involved. And so, Springs of Love, we're trying to tell the stories, encourage people. We've got a beautiful video series that is now on Formed and EWTN On Demand. You can see our Springs of Love websites on our website. The videos on our website as well. But we're also creating resources so parishes can develop support to foster families, because that is so urgently needed.
For people who might be interested in fostering and adoption, parishes can play a part in that.
Absolutely, yes. So we are hoping creating. Oh, go ahead.
Kimberly, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the clock and I got to take a quick break. Let's talk about that when we come back. And I do want to invite people to call. We're talking about getting involved in fostering and adopting in a world where that is very, very much needed. The love that we've been given in the person of Jesus Christ can be extended in this way to folks who really need it. Little folks, 888-318-7884 is the number. Right back with more with Dr. Kimberly Henkel, talking about Foster Care Month on Catholic Answers Live.
Catholic Answers Live.
Underwriting for Catholic Answers Live is provided by Real Estate for Life. Real Estate for Life connects homebuyers and sellers to real estate agents while supporting pro-life organizations. On the web at realestateforlife.org.
Experience the incredible story of the woman who Time magazine named the most influential Catholic woman in the United States. Born Rita Rizzo, the future mother Angelica grew up in a rough neighborhood in Canton, Ohio. Young Rita experienced abandonment, rejection, and heartache, but God touched her through a woman named Rhoda Wise. Encounter this amazing woman at the Mother Angelica Museum. Plan your visit today at motherangelicamuseum.com.
One of the reasons we should go to Mass is because